That's what happens with the Buttes in the house.
Hockey, yeah.
My favorite. It's Judd's Hockey Show.
And welcome into another edition of Judd's Hockey Show. It is Judd. It is AJ. The Wild, of course, off for 4 days now until Thursday. So we are finding talkers because there's always talkers this late in the season. Before we get to that, though, Aj, I think both of us just want to give a shout out and say, as difficult as it was, the memorial for Jesse Pierce, our friend who tragically died in that house fire, and her 3 kids. The memorial on Sunday was absolutely heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, but the turnout, like I keep saying, there's no, like, I can't find a lot of good things here. Like I struggle with good things in situations like this. This is just so tragic, but I guess heartening. I guess it made you feel a little bit more comfort just being among people who cared about her. And we were both there early, and by the time we left, it was like a line down the block and around the block, and I guess it was like that for quite a while. So, just as part of the community, thank you. She meant so much to so many. But just speaking for myself, and I'll give you the floor. I just thought it was very touching to see.
I felt the same way. Like I knew, I knew I planned to get there at a time to where I was going to be sitting in my car for a while. It was one of those, I as much as I wasn't looking forward to it, because the whole week was not ideal by any means. I also knew it was going to be nice to see people I knew grieve with people I knew, and who also Jesse had touched their lives and had an impact on them and whatnot. So I think I was sitting in my car for a while, and I texted you, "Hey, I'm here. Let me know when you head towards the doors." Blah blah blah. And we get in there, and then by the time we had made our way through, there was that line that you said, and it was people that it made me laugh, and I don't know how I didn't even think of it. But I saw people in high school hockey jerseys. I saw people in Bar Down Beauty merch. I saw people repping Matamidi Zephyr gear, the leather jackets that the Jesse donned on the show, and it was amazing. The turnout, and obviously, in no world or whatever discussion is that for you and I. Like it helps for people to have a little bit of closure and help with the grieving process with that. But I like to think that Jesse probably would have. The silver lining is that she is now seeing or recognizing just how much that she impacted other people, and the turnout that we saw over the last week with NHL teams acknowledging her, different media outlets acknowledging her and honoring her, and then this past weekend in person, the community that we had talked about over the past week being as strong and tight-knit and supporting as it was in such a trying time showed out. It showed up for to honor and say their final goodbyes to Jesse Pierce, Hudson, Caden, and Avery, and it was really special.
Yes, and I'm sure that there also will be some type of moment of silence or something at the Wild game on Thursday. They played the last time they played at home was actually the day that she and the 3 kids passed away in the fire. So we were just all finding out at that point. So I'm sure that they will do something for her. I hope it's special. It's just it's. But there is okay. So some more heartening news, I guess. The line Heathen shirts and hoodies and such raised it looks like more than $3,400, orders 300 plus. So again, thank you. It's awesome to see that. We're trying to help Mike and the family as much as possible. Mike, our thoughts are with you. God bless you. Seriously, I don't know what to say. That's the one thing. The one thing about getting older is you finally just know that you don't know what. Like, there's nothing that you can say. But thank you to all of the folks who bought the shirts and the merch, and also Tahoe Sports as well, right, Aj?
Yeah, Tahoe Sports were in Fridley. They've been awesome to work with. They're a friend of us here at Score North, and I know just Hubbard Broadcasting in general, and they do top tier work and did a great job being able to put this together so quickly, getting out shipments. We've been getting flooded with posts and messages with people wearing sweatshirts and shirts already with their line Heathens gear. They've turned around really quick, and so it's as cool as it was to pounce on that and try to raise some money for the GoFundMe. The fact that they're getting stuff out quick and people are already going to have that at Thursday's game is going to be honestly, for as much tears as I've shed over the past week, I might have a little more left seeing that around the concourse.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get to the topic at hand. This is always a tough transition of late, but there's not a darn thing that we can do about the transition. So the Athletic, Michael Russo and Joe Smith combined for what I thought was a story that fleshed out some of the things that we talked about coming off the Boston loss on Saturday. We did a Sunday show, and we talked about the Wild's struggles of late, but not only did it crystallize in their piece a little bit more, but also some quotes from Bill Guerin that I thought were intriguing, including one that I will read. But the long and short of it is that the Wild, AJ, has won only 4 times in their past 11 games. They are 7-7-2 since the Olympics. The Athletic has that 16 points at 23rd among all teams. There's 32. So the 16 points since the Olympics would put them 23rd. Last 7 games, Boldy, no goals. Kaprizov scored, and of course, he didn't go to the Olympics. Kaprizov scored his first goal on Saturday, but that was his first in 7 games. The turnovers on Kaprizov's part definitely on Saturday impacted a few goals. And then I'm going to read you this quote from Bill Guerin, Aj, and then you take it from there, because I'd be curious to get your thoughts. Because the key to me to this story was the quote. It's like we all know this isn't going exceptionally well. We all know the playoffs are approaching, and I think if it's certain Wild fans would say, "Oh, calm down, it's going to be fine. Like the playoffs will start and they'll be fine." Certain fans would not say that. But anyway, here's the quote. Well, it's very mixed. Bill Guerin, I'd like to see us start playing better, more consistently. We've had some really good games, then we lay off. Then we have another good game, then lay off. I'd like to see us with a more complete game, more consistently right now. We've got 8 games left in the regular season. That's me. It's time. Listen, there's no such thing as perfection in this game. But what I'd like to see is better execution, a little more desperation. I trust this group. I do. We haven't been horrible. We have to eliminate those rough games. The lulls have to be put to an end quicker. I thought this was a very enlightening quote. I agree with the entire quote, but it's one thing if we talk about it as 2 guys that watch the team. It's another if the GM comes out and says it. And I think that Bill Guerin is exactly right. And I think the question is, can they do this?
It sounds like Bill Guerin might listen to the show because we've touched on this exact topic and shared, I think, some of these exact thoughts. But this is also kudos on reporting to Joe and Mike for getting something like this with 8 games left in the regular season. It's not often, granted, given the position of the team and how they've been playing, to get the GM to be that, I think, frontal and open about their play as they are right now. So I agree with the quote. That's the thing. We've touched on this before, multiple instances. I appreciate how Bill Guerin he seems to be a straight shooter. Even when you can kind of tell that he's beating around the bush or he's maybe withholding a little key information that keeps a statement true, maybe doesn't tell the entire truth, he's still telling you the truth. You can really easily, I think, pick that out. But here, it's nothing different than what we know him for, which is his gut feeling, his intuition, his hockey knowledge, and him being truthful. They play. There's another quote I think later, which is he says that he feels they play down to a lot of competition at times, especially at home. We have mentioned that a lot. This recent stretch that they've been on post Olympics is simply not good enough for a team that should be gearing up and trying to hit as much of a stride as possible before that first round, more than likely against the Dallas Stars. Something about nipping in the bud, and this is where I think 2 weeks ago, we heard that they were going to be changing and actually practicing, trying to change that routine and all this other stuff. It feels like they are, and they've had discussions, especially with John Hynes, trying to take action to get out of this funk, get back to the team that we saw. And is there a bit of a difficulty potentially in acquiring a handful of guys right on trade deadline day and then trying to integrate them in? Because for as much depth, I think, in the bottom 6 as we've talked about, I saw a stat, I believe it was from Brett Marshall, who pointed out over the last 2 seasons, the last game against Boston, or maybe the game prior to that, against Florida, was one of the it was one of the first times in maybe all of the last 3 months or so that the Wild played a game fully healthy. they have now these reinforcements to where you're kind of mixing and matching, and some guys may not have the certain chemistry or repertoire with each other to where they're able to seamlessly move in and out of the lineup, and you're trying to work towards that. So maybe that's a factor in this slump. But your top guys that you've talked about, Kirill Kaprizov hasn't been, I would say, the same since coming back from injury. Matt Boldy's been on a little bit of a cold streak right now as well. You've seen Matt Zuccarello still at times pass up on golden shooting opportunities to opt for a pass. Those top three guys, along with I'd say Eric Senak is probably still doing his job since coming back, so I'm not going to maybe highlight him as much there. But something has to change, and the fact that it seems like they are exploring options behind the scenes is encouraging. But where my anxiousness about this is, you're running out of tarmac. At some point, the plane has to take off, and these final 8 games, I don't want it to come down to the final game of the year. Last year, it was you're fighting, and it came down to the last day on whether or not you're getting in.
Right, that's just to get in. Yeah, that's a different story.
Against Boston, you could have won and you got in. I think it was last night you had you needed 2 games that could have gone your way, and then you just get in without doing anything while idle. They're going to get in. Like, it would right now be one of the most historic hockey collapses if the Minnesota Wild at this point did not make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They're going to get in. So out of this time, like, experimenting, like, what are you going to do? Because it seems like they're trying and they are maybe failing. What is going to be the one thing that does actually get you out of this slump? And maybe the final 2 games, you look like the team that is able to start right at puck drop. You're outplaying your opponent who's lesser than you for 60 minutes. You're finding the back of the net. Yeah.
So
there's a little bit of show me something. Don't just tell me, show me.
So since Hines actually got upset after the Rangers and I think Toronto game a couple of weeks ago because they were playing like this. And since then, they've gone 3-3. They haven't scored. The first game out of that was that Tuesday night game against the Blackhawks at Grand Casino Arena. And they have scored a maximum, and they did it that Tuesday night, of 4 goals since then. If you look at, they're not scoring. So since the Olympics, this again comes from the Athletic story, they are averaging 2.88, so 2.9 goals per game, which is tied for 19th. They are 28th at 5-on-5, or they have 28 5-on-5 goals, which is tied for 23rd. The reality is they are not scoring enough. People do want to blame, and they've done this before, and I've agreed at times, people want to blame the shakeup and it was a very small shakeup in actuality at the trade deadline. I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is very clear. Your top guys aren't providing what you need. Now, I've got a concern to bring up about that, and it's going to be a familiar concern. Some people are going to roll their eyes. Quite frankly, I don't care. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about our friends at Victory Tire, a place, Victory Tire and Auto. They believe in relationships. That's right. In hockey terms, they are good in the room. Their goal is customer service for the long term with personalized, trustworthy, and consistent service. A Minnesota family-owned business established right here in 1997. Victory has an industry-leading 5-year, 50,000-mile warranty on all new parts and labor. Schedule an appointment at any of their 20-plus Twin Cities area locations. It's this simple. You just go to victorytireandauto.com. You tell them the Sports Dad sent you. You're going to get $25 off an oil change. As we all know, that's very important. If that light is on, folks, you need to head to Victory Tire and Auto for an oil change. You're going to get $25 off just by saying the Sports Dad sent you. You're also going to get complimentary multi-point safety inspection with every service appointment. Quality work, genuine care for all of life's miles at Victory Tire and Auto. And again, the website is victorytireandauto.com. So, it's funny, but some people have told me, Sports Dad, you can't stay, dine, and unwind all in one place. And I am here to tell you, you are wrong about that. I come with positivity. That's right. Very rare for me, but I do come with positivity by saying, if you say you can't stay, dine, and unwind all in one place, then you have never been to Mystic Lake Casino. It all starts on the floor. Table games, hot slots, an unforgettable night that you can see with the stars in the Mystic Showroom. There is the Hop House where we are going to hold our draft party. That's right. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not just for us. It's not just on the first round of the draft. It is every night that you want to watch sports. The Hop House is a great place to do it. They have all the games on. They have tons of TVs, great food, and great drink. I could go on. You can stay at the hotel. You can relax at the spa the next day. MysticLake.com. MysticLake.com. So this was pointed out in the Athletic piece. We've talked about it, but I feel like it's getting a little bit more play now, and I feel like it's important enough to bring back, no matter how much we might have talked about it previously, before it was a problem. And that is the Olympics. And that is the play of Quinn Hughes. That is the play of Matt Boldy, who, again, hasn't scored in 7 games, which is, this season, that's a lot for him. And Brock Faber. And quite frankly, I think of late, Faber and Hughes especially. Now, and don't forget, Hughes went to the Olympics with a pre-existing injury. We don't know exactly what. But that dude had a lower body injury going into the Olympics. Now, 8 times since he's come back, he has logged 30 or more minutes in a game. Supposedly, the coaching staff was not thrilled by his decision to extend a shift on Saturday on the defense, preparing for 4 minutes and 34 seconds. But nonetheless, Aj, I knew this was going to come back to bite you right in the butt. 3 of your top players look like they took time off to go play in the playoffs, win gold. They did it. Congratulations. But this concerns me because I don't know. Like, we could talk about, rest and, I don't know, possibly you won't, they're not going to, but possibly like scratching a guy for a couple games. 1, I don't think that's going to happen. And 2, how do you get a second wind? Like, perhaps you can. I don't know. Quinn Hughes being hurt before really concerns me now because he obviously didn't rest it. Kaprizov, though, looked great after the Olympics, and now the last few weeks or the last week or so, he's looked off. So I do have a real concern, though, about coming back from a really, really intense tournament with 3 of your top players, and now all 3 of those guys look like they could use an off season.
Right.
What do you think?
And this is where this weird break, this kind of anomaly of a 4-day off break between games is going to benefit the Wild, because I would like to think, as much as they maybe are talking about, we got to get on the ice, we got to iron out a few things and get our game back to where we need to be. Matt Boldy, Brock Faber, Quinn Hughes, I'd stay in bed, hang out on the couch, fire up the station and play a little NHL 26 or something. Just don't exhaust yourself. Don't do anything. We'll have to see, and I'm interested because would they want to potentially use this as like, okay, you had 4 days. We're going to say Quinn Hughes is day-to-day with something lower body, and he's like 90% now. The thing is, we don't know. And this is the problem with the NHL. If this was football, if this was really any other sport, we at least have a little bit of a semblance of what the injury is. We have a timetable of what's going to happen. It's just lower body. Is it his toe? Is it his knee? We have zero idea. We have zero identification. So there's not really a path to where I can map out in my head, okay, this week, and then he's going to be fine. And then we have the kind of rough knowledge that he's 95 to 100%. There's just not that.
You got no clue.
So
you're right.
This break is really important. I'm interested to see come Thursday night how they look, because 1, you had 4 days off. 2, it's against a Canucks team that is bad. So the stuff that Bill Guerin has talked about playing down to competition, whatever, this should not even be in the realm of thought for Thursday night. You should go ahead. You should go ahead and blow them out of the water. But in terms of your point of would they ever think about scratching guys or giving time off? They're not going to. That's the hockey unwritten rule where if you're healthy and if you can skate, you can play. Look at Radko Gudas yesterday. He knew he was going out there to get his butt kicked after that knee-on-knee hit on Austin Matthews. He's like, I'm going to put myself in the lineup. I don't care how hurt I am. Nobody else is taking that beating but me. And lo and behold, he got his butt kicked a little bit. So the Wild are not going to do that just because these guys are tired. But you do have to put a hard limit at a certain point for these final 8 games on ice time. Quinn Hughes cannot be getting close to 30 minutes. He shouldn't. Something deathly should happen if he touches a 4.5-minute shift again. That's unacceptable.
Well, and I do find it intriguing that the coaching staff, basically somebody said they were not happy, which, by the way, they shouldn't have been. But I think what they're trying to say is he's extending his shifts, and he's been talked to about it, and Brock Faber's been talked to about it. But I don't care how good you think you are. At some point in time, you are going to become a liability if you extend your shift too much. So yeah, I find this, but I come back to this. Okay, the break is great, but then you play Vancouver on Thursday. You're off on Friday, and then you travel to play back-to-backs in the afternoon on Saturday and Sunday against Ottawa and Detroit. So you have 3 games in 4 days again now. So again, you're going to have to be careful there. But if if they're legitimately worn out, that's my thing is because it's not just physical fatigue, it's mental at some point too. And I know these guys are young, and I know they're great players. This is not to say they're not. But it is to say that there is a certain time when the body, I think, and the mind just start to struggle with things. And the playoffs alone, without the Olympics, are incredibly difficult. Like those games, when game one comes on, Age, the intensity of that thing is going to ramp up tenfold.
Yeah.
And that's game one of the first round. So there's just I'll be very curious to see, and this is not just on John Hines, this is on the players too, but I'll be very curious to see what we get. And then to go back to what Bill Guerin's talking about too, he's saying the rest of the guys have to come along for the party. The fact that they had essentially given themselves breathing room going into the Olympic break or coming out was awesome. That's great. Yep. Congratulations. But in no way had you clinched a thing. Don't forget, they went into the break in second place, a point up on Dallas, and they were a few points back of the Avs. So there was something to play for. They came back against the Avs. They played that great game in Colorado. They won. And ever since then, it's sort of been oh, we're good to go. I don't know what it is, but it is for Wild fans and for Bill Guerin and the entire team. It's concerning because we've seen this before. We've seen these lulls, which is a perfect word for it. And at some point in time, as I said, I think a week ago, you can't flip the switch. It's impossible. You can't just flip the switch on night one of the playoffs and you are back to who you were, when you were playing your best. And it doesn't also have to be all these great games. It just has to be complete games where you look like a really good team. That's what you are. You should be a really good team. I'm not looking for 8 goals. What I'm looking for is the question is, you can use any analytic that you want, but here's the bottom line. In this sport, in a situation like this, do you pass the eye test?
Yeah, and
do you pass the eye test?
And they have not been recently. That point is exactly what I wanted to bring up here, following your thought, which is I don't need them to dismantle every opponent 7-1 these final 8 games. I want to see, in the word that Bill Guerin I think mentioned a few times from that Athletic article, which is execution. The execution to commit and stand by your game plan, because we've seen that game plan and that strategy that John Hines and his coaching staff have introduced and implemented. It works, especially with this group. So if you execute on that and you're working and you're abiding by these certain things, whether you're Brock Faber, Quinn Hughes, where we're scaling back on the minutes because the coaching staff is asking us, what an ask for the final 8 games of the year that you don't play 28 minutes a night, God forbid. A couple more shoot first options for me too, and that's just my personal note. It seems like they will opt for the pass, but they just need to show a little bit better execution, because I think a quote from Nico Sturm, also from the article, which was, you want your power play, your penalty kill, other stuff, you want it in a good place. It doesn't need to be flying colors, A+ everywhere across the board. You just need to feel confident about your own self. And that's what right now they're trying to work towards. And we're not seeing that from the press box. The fans aren't seeing that from, the upper and lower bowl. And if we're not seeing it, they're not seeing it on the ice for sure. So work towards a semblance of, we're confident in our game. We're confident in how our power play is working, etc. To where the confidence in net needs to be there. I think Gus has maybe taken a step back over these last handful of games as well for his last few starts, maybe despite the rise we've seen, I think, in play from Wallstead. But that's due to, I think, some of the play in front of them that has been a little more leaky at times. So just get to a place of confidence where you're going into that night one with Dallas where, like you said, it's hard. You're not going to be able to just flip a switch, but something where there's a fire there. There's something there, because you can't just be going into night one either at Dallas or back here trying to that's where you're trying to spark up the flames. No, you need the flame already existing for the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's something too where I'll go back to what I previously said, which is I don't believe this is a trade deadline problem. I don't believe it's a bottom 6 problem. I believe it's a top 6 problem, and I believe it is. Two of your best defensemen look tired. I'm not sure that they know when they should get off the ice at times. So like these are some very important things. But the way that they were playing before the break for the Olympics, they looked fantastic. But that's who they can be. And that was they were winning games because they were playing fantastic. It wasn't like a fluke. And I know all teams go through highs and all teams go through lows, but we're now to a point where this is enough of a sample size where you say, okay, this has to get fixed. And by the way, I know it can be fixed, unless you thought. Well, there's two things. Unless you thought, well, we're just going to cruise in, which I don't understand. You were battling for, like, there were 3 spots available, and you are going to end up in the 3rd spot. That's not a great thing. And also being tired. And is your team just tired? Well, the majority of them shouldn't be. So it's gonna be intriguing to see. I guess I am more of the thought process. The 3 games in 4 days starting Thursday, like the Vancouver game. Okay, you should win that game. If you lose that game, that's not a good sign at all. But I want to see how you approach these three games in 4 days again. So like now we're back. You got your 4 days off. You got your little break. Now we're back. How do you play in that span? And not just how do you play, how do you approach it? How do you look? There's just, and I think that they're going to practice today, which is Tuesday and Wednesday. So they took Sunday and Monday off. So, and you need to fine tune things. You need to hone things. And it shouldn't be too much to ask, because I feel like now it's setting up to, well, if they lose in the first round, of course they did. It's Dallas. And look, I mean, they sort of struggled at the end of the season. That's not an excuse.
That's not the narrative anymore.
No, it's not. Do not be fooled. And I do not want to hear anyone say if they lose in 6, well, but look how they played. They tried. They looked like they played hard. That's not the narrative. You know what the narrative is? Getting past the bleeping first round of the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. So, like, there's no excuses here. It's not like they've got guys out. It's not like Boldy's hurt or Kaprizov's hurt or Hughes is hurt or Faber is hurt. They have plenty of guys, plenty of star power. Got to get the goaltending. So a couple more things to touch on before we wrap up. So Michigan State loses to Wisconsin. Wisconsin upsets the Spartans. They come back and they beat them in the NCAA tournament on Saturday. Quickly, Porter Malone, who was on the first line. Martone, I'm sorry. What did I write? I knew that. Thank you. I wrote Malone. Porter Martone signs with the Flyers. And we all say, okay, cool, because his line mate is 2023 first-round draft pick Charlie Stramel, who, of course, was drafted by the Wild. Unfortunately, Charlie blocked a shot in that game, and according to, I hope I wrote this correctly, broke his ankle. So now, do I think this is a huge loss for the season? No. Do I think he was going to play? No. I saw there was some comparisons made to the fact that Faber played, obviously stepped right in against Dallas in the playoffs, and Zebuyam at least started the playoffs last year before he got scratched against Vegas, and I saw some like, okay, could this have been that? I mean, I don't see room for him. Like, I don't think you're going to take a kid out of college who is a good player, but I think he's projected as a bottom 6 for his career, and like scratch one of your bottom 6 guys when you're already scratching guys there, and you're getting pretty solid play there, in my opinion. So it's unfortunate. It's too bad. But I will say this, you now will not burn the first year of his contract for sure. And if there's any bright spot, and I don't know if there is one here, it is the fact that you will get him on his full rookie term starting next season.
It's a bummer. That was the guy that I was expecting them to sign, and then like have waiting in the wings, barring some sort of injury. But you're spot on. Even if he was healthy and they do sign him, excuse me, he's not cracking the lineup. He's just not, right? Because right now he is not by any means a top 6 center. You're going to have Hartman. You're going to have Eriksson Ek, and even if one of them got hurt, Urov probably goes back up there to fill in. McCarron, frankly, I think has shown enough to where he might be able to slot up just for a game or something like that, barring an injury. But then you think about the bottom 6 in terms of centers right now. He's not going to crack a lineup over a McCarron or a Sturm or a Foligno. Like the savvy veteranness of that grouping is unfortunately just far, maybe not even unfortunately, just simply far and away a better option for the Minnesota Wild in the playoffs. That being said, this past season, I think on this show, we have written at one point I think written off the chance of Charlie Stramel being an option for the Minnesota Wild. Like we're talking last year, maybe even prior his move to Michigan State when he was still at Wisconsin.
That didn't go well.
And that didn't go well, no. But since this move, and especially this season, he has taken a major step developmentally, and what he's shown at least has instilled more confidence in me that he can make it. And whether that means he's doing it in Minnesota Wild green, or he made enough of an audition tape to where Bill Guerin, after signing him, is able to deal him for something else in the summer to essentially do a Quinn Hughes thing where you're trading your younger guy, you're turning the time machine on and fast forwarding to something that's more of a finished guaranteed product. Either way, he's shown a lot of promise and he's got size, so I think that's pretty desirable at the NHL level. And I know they had an unfortunate end of the season, but if you're going to leave it all out on the ice, I think blocking a shot and breaking your ankle is, that's at least showing you're committed to the name on the front of the jersey. He plays a style of game that I think a lot of coaches love, and so that's why I think he's got a bright future at some point. It's just unfortunately not going to be this season signing with the Minnesota Wild for the postseason.
Yeah, and you're right. He might be dealt. Who knows? Like there's definitely something. There's definitely a reason why Bill Guerin didn't make a bigger trade at the deadline, and I think it might be for that. So I mean, you've got Volstead, you've got Stramel. All right, before we go, it's time to rip a pack of cards. Courtesy of our friends at 3 Star Sports Cards, where they are there to serve your collecting needs. They've been around since 2008 and have store locations in Bloomington, Little Canada, and the newest store in Minnetonka. Check that one out. As an Upper Deck Diamond dealer, 3 Star Sports Cards will always have, and they do, as you can see right here, a great selection of sealed hockey packs and boxes to choose from. This is really cool here. We're looking through some really nice cards here. I think I see a Kaprizov there as well. Collectibles as well, certainly at the Bloomington location. In fact, I saw a bobblehead there and a couple of them, which intrigued me because I collect those. Establish a loyalty rewards account by using the code JUDD2026. That's JUDD 2026. Have to stop in at any of those 3 locations: Bloomington, Little Canada, Minnetonka, Judd 2026. And their website is 3starsportscards.com. That's 3starsportscards.com. All right, Aj, we are back to do it again. This is Series 1, 2025-26 of the, I think we got some young guns.
Yeah. Let's see. That'd be your Ivan Demidov. That'd be... that Series 1 is one of those where it's like the guys who are essentially, potentially a postseason edition.
I cheat.
Yeah,
because ripping it is just.
You've told me that, and I'm pulling back the curtain here. But you've told me that you do that for the sake of having to not struggle with it in the middle of the show.
I don't want to be trying to pull. I mean, I embarrass myself enough in life. See, like right there, it peels off particularly. Okay, so here's what we got. Oh, look at this! You're gonna love this. Throwback to a couple of years ago. Dumbs. Matt Dumba, Dallas Stars.
I miss Dumba 55 on the Wild. That was an amazing joke by him.
It was. Next one, Connor Hellebuck, Olympic hero Connor Hellebuck of the Winnipeg Jets.
Presidential medal winner.
Ooh, I don't mind this pack so far because we're looking right here at a Dawson Mercer. We're looking at Nazem Kadri. Okay, these Flames sweaters are really cool. It's the white one. It's the white with the it's got a crest on it and then the C inside that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good one. Oh, we have a young gun. I need you to explain this one. Noah Ostlund, Buffalo Sabres.
Okay. At one point, if my memory is correct, at one point in this season when the Sabres were not at the level of play that they were, he was sent down for the sake of just like He I think the rationale was like he's almost playing too well. I didn't really understand that point because I think they were looking for potential tanking. But I hear a lot of people say they like him as a player. I'm not as familiar with his game, but I know that he, out of the young gun crop for Series 1, that's one of the better ones. And was that a young gun canvas? Was that?
It's a canvas.
Yeah, nice little insert. A little more rare. It's kind of like an oil painting texture almost.
It's sort of cool,
yeah.
No, because I've got one here too that is a traditional style card. Jacob Quillen of the Toronto Maple Leafs,
Okay.
a young gun as well. But then, okay, there's a couple more that you're going to love. First of all, perhaps a future member of the Wild, Brady Tkachuk of the Ottawa Senators. That's right. That's the buzz, the potential buzz. Don't hold me to
You're going to
that
start
buzz.
something here. You're going to start something.
It's already been talked about. I've been beaten to the punch. And we're going to wrap up with this one because this one I'm going to save for you, my friend.
Oh,
Timmy
Timmy.
Stutzla.
Yes, my boy.
This is your guy. This is your
the guy who made the entire province of Ottawa turn on me at one point earlier this season.
Stutzla. Yeah,
And
but
what
you
a
were
year he's
trying to
having.
acquire him in a trade. Just to be clear, you didn't disparage him. You praised him.
Yeah, I wanted him so bad that they threatening me. If you dare touch our young German boy,
Don't get those Canadians. We already got problems with Canada. If you haven't heard, okay, so don't get those Canadians upset. So yes,
I
again,
hope the Senators make the playoffs.
three-star sports cards. Check them out. Bloomington, Little Canada, Minnetonka, 3starsportscards.com. Always fun to rip a pack and appreciate them providing those packs. I will save the Stutzla for you. I think we're going to be back tomorrow. We've got a talker that we didn't get to today. That there's an assumption about John Hines, and I think we should discuss it, especially in light of the fact that Vegas just blew out Bruce Cassidy with like 8 games left. Because the National Hockey League's a goofy place when it comes to coaching. So we'll be back with
Torts in the bullpen.
It's
Get warm.
incredible. It's incredible. So we'll be back, talk about that tomorrow, and then of course we've got the game on Thursday against the Canucks. He's AJ, I'm Judd. Thanks for watching Judd's Hockey Show.